slide, the Strog and Pika, and then the Galena coming out from front, and I really, really like his Galena. He's such a smart player, and he's such a scientist in that regard, where he's he's one of the players that was kind of known for not being afraid of just going into custom games and just kind of experimenting with like new totem placements and all that stuff. He always posting these weird Twitter clips and posting on Discord and all that stuff. So I guess we'll see if that can, I guess, be the immovable object, if you will, to the Strong and Pika.
We've even seen that on the Quake Pro League itself, like when xron was going up against Garpy, I believe, and he did that rocket jump outside of the map on Molten Falls way up on the pillar, or that perfect rail angle over on Awoken. He really experiments with those kinds of things, and Ruins is one of the best maps to play Galena on, because there's so many places that you can hide those totems on and build your stack very easily.
It's like the original map. Back when Quake World Championship started in 2017, Galena wasn't really picked at all, unless it was Ruins, and it was someone like Cypher or something. But a far cry since then, that's for sure. Now, as is the right way to go, toxjq is the first to observe here with that slash.
Yeah, and watching Tox on Slash, it's always just a joy. He's so quick, so mobile with her, and starting off with just a heavy machine gun, doing a little bit of damage. He wants to get himself that railgun. He's gonna hear the jumps. Rockets are decent to start with, but he needs a lot more damage than that. And in he goes, toxjq extremely aggressively, looking for the rockets from above, but he can't quite bring the pain. And it looks like xron might be able to get out of the room, actually by juking him perfectly. toxjq probably had no idea where his opponent went, and that works in xron's favor.
Well, I would say they're going to go for a trade, but I love the fact that xron, he knows the toxjq's being nice and aggressive, that if I just sit and pick this rail angle first, I can hit the rail to undo the mega that he's just collected, and then go and collect heavy myself. It was a great decision.
Oh yeah.
And it has disengaged the activity just a little bit.
Yeah, because you could very clearly see toxjq's thinking process right there. He took the rail and he was at 88 points of health, so one more rail would have killed him. And he decided to not even show his face. He didn't want to press forward, just wait, double back, and try and pick himself up some resources to get back into fighting shape. And now we're really starting to see the difference in stack, because toxjq has his basic stack, but if you look at the top of the screen, xron is still considerably stronger than him right now. So toxjq really has to start hitting the shots to compensate for that obviously inherent stack deficit that you're at on a light champion.
Little bit of rocket damage, but not enough to write home about just yet. There is a pretty sizable difference in between Mega and Heavy. That's why Tox, he's going to set up shop and he's going to try and fortify. Worst thing he can do is just allow xron to keep even more control and more stack than he's already sitting on. So there's the Mega. He's trying to get out during that downtime.
Yep.
Sticking around just in case, and once more he knows it's around. So there is going to be just another trade of the two items. No frags just yet. That might change as xron caught a bit of a weird position.
Yep. toxjq doing a nice string of damage right there with the lightning gun, of course one of the weapons that he's most renowned for, as having extremely solid aim on. And he will position himself, getting ready for Mega, but it looks like xron actually outmaneuvers him right there, gets the top floor advantage and steals away that item. toxjq now has to decide whether or not he wants to fight for the heavy, and indeed he will. The LG is good, but the stack...
Oh, but that LG was fantastic.
Absolutely.
Even with that much of a stack difference, it felt like if xron overstayed his welcome, he definitely would have died there. And that's a testament to one of the best aimers in the world.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you go toe-to-toe with someone who was just famous for it. But xron, that's why he's trying to very much, I think, take his fights carefully. And that's why I think he is inherently one of the smarter players that we have in that respect. He's so heavily versed now in player matchups. If you're against Tox, you can't give him an angle. You can't stick too far away with an LG, because he'll just melt you down.
Yeah. toxjq is going to go ahead and use that plasma trail because he wants to put out some damage. He knows that he's been hurting xron a lot, but he just hasn't been able to catch him, track him down, and finish it off. Misses the jump. That could have been huge if he had landed it. And he actually takes a rail for his troubles as well. This could be good for xron. xron is going to position himself, maybe try and make a move on Mega, at least hope to do some damage.
That was a damn cute jump though, to be fair, off that jump pad into the instant 180 into crouch slide.
As we know toxjq for.
Yeah.
Oh
no!
The click, first one of the day, and it happened to Tox.
I feel like we all felt that.
We did.
Every single one of us, just in the being. But he's undone it. He's got the ammo now. Crisis averted. You guys didn't see nothing. Take two.
Ah, there we go. And he doesn't just have the ammo, he's also got the stack. Toxic, perfect reversal of control, is now in full possession of all the major items and has got a very nice rotation between the two of them. He's got the perfect amount of time to first take Mega and then race over to Heavy, but xron is going to try and set up a barrier and will go down. I think xron just wasn't ready for that kind of speed to come around the corner.
And that's the threat that Slash is always going to bring to the table. You never know 100% of the time where she is. And if you do know, you have to sort of also know how much speed has she built up. You know, when is she likely to come around a corner? Because there's so many easy ways that Slash can build up that top speed. Especially if you're Tox. You know, we talk about scientist-like players that have really optimized movement and optimized, you know, totem placements and all that stuff. Toxic Slash movement is so well optimized that he knows almost every single corner he can get full speed.
And he is gonna up the ante with the plasma chase, of course getting that huge speed boost, but I don't think he really noticed where xron was until it was already too late. He's gonna hear the small armor pickup. And Toxic on the chase is looking to extend this lead, and he's gonna find xron. 100 damage, can he find more?
And yeah, definitely too risky to go through the teleporter, risking a direct. Would have technically survived, but with like 1 HP left, not worth it. Unfortunately, gonna have to give up a little bit of that Mega. And now xron, ooh, wonderful rocket! I was about to say Tox in a little bit of danger, but that one rocket hitting its mark has caused the disengage temporarily. That was so pivotal on both sides.
Yeah. And right now, both players are looking at that Heavy. They're both hungry. It looks like it actually will be xron to pick it up, even though Toxic had the better stack. And one of the things we're really seeing is xron is using the double jump very effectively, because at situations where he should have been dead, like earlier down at the teleporter, he used that double jump to maneuver himself out of harm's way and avoid taking too much rocket damage while dishing out an incredible amount himself.
That's the thing about Quake. Mobility doesn't always come down to movement speed. And that double jump may be one of the slower moving champions if he's trying to just, you know, jump around the map and run around. But the double jump allowing him to cover a lot of distance really quickly and getting those unique double jumps that most of the champions besides Nyx near specific walls actually can't get at all.
Yeah, and that's one of the things why essentially the active ability is treated as a passive when it comes to Doom, because you very rarely see the Berserk used. Most often it's just to get away out of a tricky situation, but the double jump, of course, that's his bread and butter. That's what he relies on the most to be so competitively viable.
Ooh, felt like there's something about that rail that just felt a little bit odd to see Toxic miss.
Yeah.
Very rare that you'll see him miss it, but we might see the consequences very, very soon. It looks like xron's pressing the advantage. I'm not entirely convinced Tox was ready for him to be down there. Has to watch out for the rails at this health. Thankfully, there's plenty of bubbles around to go and recuperate just a little bit from being a bit, I think, predictable in his retreat. Now Tox is going to spring the trap. This fight's definitely not over. But how is he going to try and get away? Tox could be as aggressive as he wants now. He's got so much stack. And it looks like he should be able to establish control now from this Heavy too.
Yep.
Here he comes. Ouch.
Almost landing the shot. xron is just flirting with death right now, because one more rail would have killed him, and he just pushes straight in.
I am very surprised that xron pressed down there. Oh, that's a terrible spawn. Absolutely horrendous spawn. Forced to use the Berserk. In many ways, literally all he could do was just to go Berserk. Hopefully, you can hit some of those melees, but yeah, that's one of the worst places to get caught for sure, and Tox will take that free frag happily.
And now things are kind of starting to snowball right here for xron. Landing some good damage out of Tox, but look at this, we've got 2.5 minutes left on the clock. Toxic doesn't have any armor to work with right now, but he does have that 3-point lead. And this is going to be extremely tricky for xron to get back into it, because Tox has so much speed, he's got that mobility to work with. Luckily for xron, he's got the Berserk, he's got the double jump, so he's got some things up his sleeve as well.
Those missed rails are pivotal, absolutely, honestly, for xron in that situation. One of those rails would have allowed him to establish pressure. The second one would have killed before Mega spawned. And at least the third would have undone the Mega stack. But instead, the flip of momentum is xron hitting nothing and Tox hitting at least one of them. This is a pretty nasty difference to sit on.
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful shot.
xron knows he has to start taking risks right now, but look at that. His feet were showing, and Toxic is not going to miss a shot like that. The same trap once again. xron is going to hold on to that Berserk, isn't gonna pop it just yet, but look at that, 1 minute and 30 left and 5 frags on Blood Covenant.
That's also how he traps the spawn as why Slash, that rail was phenomenal. There's a reason people say that when Tox is in shape, it just looks like there are certain times where it almost feels like no one can beat you.
Yeah.
You know, like when he is on his A-star game, and he's hitting all these ridiculous shots, and it always seems to be Blood Covenant. Like, I think like Slash and Blood Covenant is like his absolute specialty. And xron, he doesn't even need a frag at this point. Just keep xron weak, keep him behind, can't take a fight, otherwise he's going to completely just give up frags for no reason. And 1 minute left. Surely this has to be game over for Lee.
Yeah, at this point it's essentially settled. Oh, he's gonna put up a little bit of a show, trying to show some backward slides. And what you said is, of course, absolutely correct. This is Tox, his comfort zone. Blood Covenant, which is a map that has appeared slightly differently, though, in previous iterations of Quake. And then, of course, he's got his crouch slide as well. So Tox is in his element. He's landing his shots. And I hope that this will carry over into the next map for him.
It also feels to me like one of the reasons is that you can really tell that Tox actively just has so much fun on this map. You know, there are certain things where if you're enjoying it more than anything, then it almost allows you to be like really excel at something if you're loving it every step of the way. There's just something about the way he just steers whenever Slash is around. It's fun to watch, and it has to be even more fun to play. And look at these ridiculous shots, man. Yeah. Trying to give us that 360. I see you. I see you. Nice compilation, mate. Highlight reel, but no frag at the end. Oh, what am I talking about? For God's sake.
Yeah.
Do you think he heard me?
He must have. I mean, he made you eat your words pretty badly right there. No frag at the end. Toxic says, oh, I'll show you a frag at the end.
Really?
Rocket into rail. The combo to finish it off. 6-0. Very convincing victory for Tox.
And important. This is a... And we are going to have to take this one map at a time, because I kind of think that Tox is a one map at a time player. But at the end of the day, that is a level of Tox that we're familiar with. That is why, going into QPL, he actually wasn't a player that a lot of people were super concerned about, and why it was such a shock to see him have a very, very rough start. But hey, you know, times change, and players are able to grind, and I suppose just improve in their own way. And there's also, we can't forget that xron, he did mention before going into this, he wasn't really confident in his aim. Yeah. There was a factor of Tox hitting a lot of really good shots, but then at the same time, xron missed a fair few rails of his own, which allowed Tox to go in for the kill. And moments like that where it's like surprising to see him run into it. And this looks like a xron that's not very confident.
Yeah, I don't really know. He's really making some strange decisions here and there. Like, you know that if you die over at Heavy, you're very likely to spawn over at that staircase. And of course, your opponent at this level of play is very familiar with it himself. And instead, it happens not once, but twice that xron just immediately goes for the easy, the more obvious decision, and that is to go and pick up the lightning gun. And Toxic just absolutely wrecks him over it.
And it's just a level of composure. And clearly, Toxic is next level comfortable, and there it is.
What but it was a beauty.
But it's next level comfort when you see Tox play like that. When it's reached a point where he's just flying around the map, and he already has, like, you know, phenomenal crouch slide movement. But then when you take accuracy on top of that, it's got to be some of the hardest circumstances to hit good shots when you're moving that fast. You know. But that's it. When Tox is comfortable, that's what happens. The question is xron now going to be in a position in the future maps to put Tox in a situation where he's not comfortable, and are we going to still see that same level of momentum?
Well, I mean, we are going to switch onto Tox's Sorlek for the next map, and that is, of course, a much larger target than the Slash that he was just now. Sorlek, of course, very fast herself, but obviously a lot more easy to hit than Slash was. So hopefully this will play in xron's favor. Might actually feel like his aim is finally hitting its stride, getting on point, so we can start landing those rails consistently and stringing together that LG. And on that note, we are jumping into map 2, starting this off on Toxic with his Lizard.
Now we're interested to see how he actually starts things off here. Now, you know, it's going to be Sorlag versus Visor. On top of the fact that Sorlag's already easy to hit, you're now going to have the extra knowledge that xron is actually going to know all about, but it's not going to matter. The stack difference matters a great deal.
Yeah, immediately a first frag for Toxic. I really hope that xron does not get stuck in this state of mind of having to play hyper aggressively. And I think he needs to slow things down a bit and not just get stuck in his own head and throw away a number of frags right now. It's just a one frag deficit, very easy in the end to overcome, but he's got to be careful.
There are certain shots that you hit where, you know, you hit one shot and go, right, okay, what can I get off this? And before you've even had that thought out of your mind, they've returned it. Yeah. And that's exactly what Tox just got. That wasn't in that case, though. That was going to be somewhat of an opening now for xron. And he has gone in for the rocket jump. He's trying to get some sort of bonus damage towards Heavy, and then quickly realizing, hang on a minute, Mega's up. Yeah. Definitely going to go for that instead.
Very nice use of the spit there as well from Toxic, and oh no, xron again making a pretty obvious decision, and Toxic of course is just going to wait for that and completely kill his momentum by landing that LG face first, and xron just has nowhere to run after that.
But I think that's one of the common problems that xron's having, is he's being quite predictable here for Tox. Tox is, on top of the fact that he can listen out. Yeah, fantastic. Yeah. He's needed that a map and a bit ago, to be honest, but better late than never.
Yep. Let's hope he can string it together into something else. He's waiting with the LG. Toxic just jumps on it. The damage is phenomenal. Can he find the shotty? He will. And there we go. xron, just as quickly as he lost his frags, he gets them right back on the board.
And although he hit a rail a bit more than he bargained for and stuck on the steps, it's kind of hard for him to escape. Tox is going to refrag this now. Only 2 minutes have happened and there's 5 frags, but that's some phenomenal damage. And there's that ticking damage over time. A little bit of information for Tox. xron took him a while to pick up one of the health bubbles to stop the bleeding, so Toxic can have a little bit of information, and that information you use to just zip in and out and steal the Mega away.
Yep, Toxic right now making his way back over to the heavy side of things. That's going to be up in around 10 seconds. Wonder if he's just going to stick around. Probably not. He's going to hunt more for xron, doing a little bit of LG damage. And that tickle might be all it takes to ensure that he doesn't get any serious opposition here. He's even going to leave heavy up and just go out the bounce pad and say, here I am, you want some of this? Clearly, xron does not.
A nice delay in between the two as well. Tox, for another time, uncontested. Looks like xron is being very, very reserved.
Yep.
At what cost, though? I guess that's always the question. What's it going to be? Tox now. Ooh, I actually like that jump pad to try and hit that cheeky rail angle. Was like half a second away from being correct. A bit too risky to chase down that tunnel, though. So now Tox is going to opt to try and head off instead. He's got the timer. He knows if he wins this fight, he's got the heavy, and maybe that's a victory in itself. I think he's been able to successfully force him away. He has. And the control just remains in the Swedes' favor.
All came down to that one excellent rocket from Toxic. Pushing xron away, it didn't do that much damage. Okay, 73 damage is of course pretty damn good, but all it did was put xron out of position and gave Tox an opening to drop down right after him and get the better angle and placing when it came to the heavy armor. And right now xron does manage to take himself the mega health, so he's got some resources to work with, but Toxic knows exactly where he is. Look at this, this is pretty good from xron. Securing heavy, is he going to push in? He actually will, that LG! So damaging!
Rail swaps, but he has...
Oh! I really thought that was gonna be a hit.
That one took the ears off.
No!
Oh, that one took the everything off.
Yeah, piercing side, of course, giving xron so much information, knowing exactly where his opponent is at. He's gotta be careful though, because look at that standard stack that Tox has.
No rockets!
Spit is gonna do it.
Running out of rockets was absolutely what delivered the death sentence. I feel like xron went into that fight not realizing he was out at the time, and by the time he realized it was just too late to do anything about it. Jump pad! Oh, you mad? Oh. You madman! But he survives.
Yeah.
And that's what matters.
Especially when all you've got is the machine gun to work with. Those are such risky plays, and right now Tox, hungry for more, might not really realize just how low xron is right now, because there we go, Mega has been stolen away from right underneath his nose. And Toxic making his way over to heavy. Actually, that's a pretty good denial from xron.
He's going in for the shotgun too, and this is the big soul lag! Betting big with the spread, you know, those larger champions a bit more vulnerable to the spread of the shotgun. It's no wonder he went for that option, but it's just Tox once again just coming off better in the exchange. 5-minute warning, and he's going to maintain a lead. And this is another one of those weeks now where we're always talking about players that are trying to stay away from the bottom territory. Tox having a 3-0 recently, it's kind of allowed him to rest easy at least for a small time.
Yeah.
Getting a potential 3-0 this week would just be ridiculous. Like, this is the complete return to glory.
Yeah. I mean, because Tox has been playing a lot better recently, but let's not forget that his initial start in the Quake Pro League really wasn't convincing at all, and he actually lost out on so many points. Does he know where xron is? He does land 100! xron surely is going to disengage. No, actually, after that rail, he might change up his plans, looking to make a move on heavy. Is he gonna drop down? He will just do that. Heavy will be going to the Ukrainian player.
Now Tox retreats. The Mega's around to take as well. Looks like he should be able to get away pretty unscathed, but getting caught swapping weapons, actually, that's a little bit of downtime, and the fight's going to be in his favor anyway. I feel like that could have been xron's fight, absolutely. Yep. You know, he caught Tox not sure what weapon to have, he already had a rail in hand, had to emergency swap at the last second. That was a lot of wasted time, but again, stack difference. You know, Sorlag, one of the beefier champions, especially when she's got a Mega in hand.
And of course, Toxic's LG aim nothing to mess around with, because you saw for several seconds it was just like a perfect lock-on, so much damage coming out so quickly, and xron ended up falling to that. Now Mega is the next major item. xron has positioning on it, but he's got to start thinking about catching up. 2.5 or 3.5 minutes on the clock rather. That's an excellent rail to start tying things up again, but he's gonna need so much more than that, and Mega is still up. xron! Perfect plays actually, but taking such a bad rocket right there. And he's just gonna rocket jump away. He's gonna leave Toxic.
Yeah, the rocket, that one rocket that was hit would have made things a little bit tricky, I think, to get the frag. But at least he's been able to get stag.
Yeah.
You know, and that's been his common problem so far, is that Tox has had the majority of the pickups, and when the fights are happening, he's just beefier and hitting some immaculate shots. Now xron, he's got this massive amounts of stack in return. The question is going to be, what does he do with it? He's got less than 3 minutes to go now. Get some damage on the LG, and those airborne rockets missing their mark means it's unreturned as well. xron keeping that dominance, and another Mega's gone. Just information there for Tox, I think. I think he's just trying to keep it timed.
Yep. And right now Heavy will be going to xron, it seems like, once again, and Toxic is just running laps around the map, and xron really needs to be able to use that piercing sight to catch his opponent, but so far he's been completely unable to do any of that. And Toxic is just playing the passive game, putting himself in positions where he's got a lot of escape routes, and then when he sees xron, he just gets out, or even better so, lands some rail damage.
Trying to get caught peeking a corner. Toxic one rail, but it's not enough yet. And that is some absolutely beautiful spit. To be completely honest, xron, although he hit that rail, that was still a bit of a risky angle to hit.
Absolutely.
With the damage that was coming down. It's going to pay off though. You know, sometimes when you're behind, you got to take risks. You have to try and make something happen. The Heavy gets picked. Tox, can he fight his way away? He has just spawned, so I mean that LG, I'm pretty sure it's all he's got. And here comes the piercing sight, but it's not enough. 4 in a row. Count them up. And that is how you start a comeback.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Aided by the piercing sight, of course. And look at that.
Yeah.
No sight there. That's a perfect read of his opponent. He wants the Mega, but he knows that if he dies now, it's probably over. So xron is going to play a little bit more passively. Doesn't go for Mega right away, and instead just contents himself with some of the smaller resources on this side of the map. Heavy, this might be the decider. Toxic looking so solid and gets the frag. xron, you need a refrag of the spawn right now.
There's a little bit of health to pick up, but that's kind of it. But with xron's spawn, he has to ask himself, what are the resources nearby? Do I have the means to actually fight this one back? It looks like a rocket's going to be the best he can do. It is going to be better than nothing, though, as 54 health was all that was left. But all that's going to do is build up the speed boost from Sorlag and push her out of range of the LG. Oh, no, that is once more just wasted time. xron got some great damage, but head-on collision incoming.
What a good trap, but the spit into the rail for the combo kill, and I think that is going to seal the deal. Toxic looks like he's gonna walk away with Molten Falls as well. xron not really letting up just yet though, still trying to chase him down. He's got 30 seconds left, but that is going to be the final nail in the coffin. 6s for days, and down he goes.
That is a phenomenal turnaround there for Tox, who has just been on a different form today. I know this is definitely going to be a map win for him, unless xron is somehow able to... Never mind. Never mind. Never mind, Flea. I spoke way too soon. That was already impossible anyway. And that ring out is just... That's just asserting dominance, isn't it?
That's just nasty, Tox. Leave him be. You've done it. You've won. Don't kick the man when he's down, but wow, what a show he's putting up for us today. Toxic looking absolutely spectacular. 58% rail on a map like Molten Falls. That's going to help you out tremendously.
A 2-0 for now, but here we are, Flea. We're now approaching, you know, the final map, which is Ruins.
Yep.
We're going to have another crouch slider, thanks to Strog and Pika, which we already think like natively kind of benefits Tox if he ever gets to that pick. You know, it used to be Slash on this map. Now he has the option to really pick Slash on a map that she's like super effective on. You know, the best combination of things, if you will. But I mean, if xron went into this week not very confident, and now he's been 2-0 in this fashion, where Tox has just been on another level.
Yeah.
I'm very concerned. And I think if there's anything that almost has a shoe-in to be a 3-0, perhaps this is the series where it happens.
It could very well be the case. I believe it was Galena, right?
Yeah.
xron really needs to be able to get his totems on point. That is the one thing I feel like could save him here. If he can hide those totems well, and he can stack them up quickly enough to get a good health boost, that might be the one thing that'll stop him from getting 3-0'd already. Gonna get a look at the highlights of this matchup. This is the 1, 2, 3. xron out of the park, he hits it. And what a play from both of these guys, because look at the frags. The ones we did get to see this game were some high-quality frag movie tier frags, I feel like.
But that's what I think why Tox is so famous, is that he's pretty much a walking frag movie. And that's why I think he's so well known amongst the scene. And he's got a pretty popular stream out there. If anyone wants to watch him on twitch.tv, I absolutely recommend it. Because this is the kind of stuff that you see on the regular. And the thing is, combat skill doesn't make or break a player, but when it is so good, it introduces a new dynamic. You know, we would see that in year one with players like Claws, for example, which were just so insanely accurate that you actually have to approach fights in an entirely different way that you would never have dreamed of before. Because now I have to assume that this guy's going to hit 100% of everything all the time. That completely messes up your decision making.
I still remember like the post-game interview with Rafa after he played Claws on this very map on Molten over at Heavy, and he took 4 rails in a row, and afterwards he was just like, well, sometimes you just gotta ride it out. You gotta let it happen. There's nothing you can do. You gotta accept it. And very quickly, we are going to jump into the next game right off the bat, starting this one off on toxjq. Gonna get to enjoy his crouch sliding a bit more as we watch him on Strog and Peeker.
Curious to see actually how his ability usage with Strog is, you know, because it's not just the fact that crouch slide exists and another trap has been laid. This should be a free kill. But hang on a minute. Those rockets have been immaculate, but it's not enough. Almost every single piece of LG was used to get that frag, but once more, it started from xron being too predictable and toxjq just laying the trap.
Yeah, very nicely done from toxjq though, just waiting there completely motionlessly and then swapping to that LG at the very last second, because of course holding it out normally makes that humming noise that your opponents can use to identify your position. And look at the railgun, xron! What do you do against that?
Pray. And he's looking for... I see. I really like the use of that, actually, just trying to get some of that information fresh off the spawn. Really, really good idea, especially since he actually has the Holy Trinity, right? So all he needs to do is just get that little bit of information with Pika and then use the weapon and ammo that he's got left to just run in and then get, hopefully, another free frag. But this is Tox on top form, and this is xron very clearly just struggling to find his footing. However, he has got 3 totems, so he has got that portable Mega on deck.
toxjq really has got to start taking down those totems, or things could get out of hand for him very quickly. Even though he's been doing so well so far, it could get out of hand very easily. And here we go, gonna get another confrontation. Rocket looking good from xron. Rails being exchanged. Actually, one more rail will finish off either player, even toxjq, because he just doesn't have the health to work with even after picking up that major armor.
Mega's going to get picked up by xron. They're going to trade things out. Thankfully, there's plenty of health bubbles. And it's no surprise that xron is setting up shop near Rocket Room, to be honest. He's got those totems to step back on. The Mega being collected, and the fact that he has another totem ready to drop, I believe, means that he's got a lot of stack when the spike breaks out. He's getting some opening damage. Not going to be much with Pika, and unfortunately giving his position away. But here come the rails again, back to back. xron stops the bleeding with the totem, but that ain't coming back for a fair while. Will he have time to retreat all the way back? No, he's going for heavy instead. Good choice.
Yeah, excellent. And he still has 2 totems waiting in that small teleporter room. So even if he doesn't get Mega, which of course he lost out on, he does have a lot of health waiting for him if he manages to make his way back over there. I don't know if that's part of his plan as of now, but he does have that failsafe to fall back on. Heavy will be the next major item coming up. Just 7 seconds to go. Last time it went to xron, but he doesn't look like he's able to contest for it, or at least set up on time, and that will mean that toxjq steals it away.
There's been a fair amount unfolding so far, but now xron is continuing to just fortify himself near Rocket Room. It has kept Tox away from it, but it's not been the end of the world. The combo coming in with the Pika, but he took a lot of unreturned damage in the process, and one of the worst times he probably could have gone in for Pika right as xron caught sight of him. And I think toxjq just dedicated to say, well, look, if it's out, let's at least hit a direct, and maybe I can recover.
I actually think toxjq's use of Peeker is very interesting, because very often you see players use it when, you know, they're being chased away or they've done a lot of damage and they switch to the robot to chase down their opponent. Wow. But they use Peeker just basically mid-fight to chase down their opponent, but toxjq so far all he does is uses it preemptively to get information or some damage. And look at that heavy nail gun, xron. Oh, he dodges the rail.
But that totem's only going to give him a little bit at this stage. Thankfully, plenty more where that came from.
That's a mega. That's a free mega. Toxic so far not doing enough to take down those totems. And I feel like my prediction is starting to come true because xron is mounting a comeback right now. And I think those totems haven't been destroyed even once. Toxic just not checking that part of the map.
Tox hasn't even looked in that room yet. And unfortunately, that jump pad would have been a free rail. But thanks to the spawn, hang on a minute, super nail gun. That's going to more than tickle in this situation. And the light machine gun is all he needs. But now he's in this position. He has to really try and get those totems. But now there's downtime. xron is clearly spawned far away from that room. It's going to be worth sort of trying to scout it out. I kind of fear that Tox hasn't even thought about the totems. Like,
maybe
he's
not.
Just not thinking about it. Good shot.
What a shot. xron, luckily for him, does have a lot of health to stack back up with. And now rockets are gonna come out trying to deny the mega health. Won't be able to. And Toxic, is he just going to push in aggressively? Yeah, Toxic is, of course, going to reveal his position.
Just go and take the totems out. I want to see it so bad.
He won't. He's made a principle out of it right now that he's not going to. To the face, that peeker comes. And wow, Toxic. He's putting out a lot of damage right now, and he doesn't even care about the totems one bit.
I mean, if he's able to win without even looking at them, then that's totally fair enough. It's just we've just seen time and time again that the totems have made such a huge difference. Granted, right now, not as much of one. However, those rails are pretty good. Not good enough as Toxic picks up another frag. And is this the moment? No, he's looking to get the spawn frags. And granted, now he's making a choice, right? Do I risk looking for totems, or do I try and get a spawn frag, which is just going to be, more advantage in my favor? Sometimes I guess you have to make that choice of what's more valuable to you there. Their utility or your lead.
I was almost expecting him to die there. Going around the corner with 32 points of health and running into a totem. Luckily for him, that didn't happen. Mega, next major item to spawn. Looks like xron has the better positioning of it. And Toxic, of course, he knows he doesn't have to take any fights he doesn't want to. He's got the lead so far, but in comes xron, and that was a disastrous rail to miss from Toxic at the very start, because it gave xron so much of an opportunity to jump into the room completely uncontested and get close enough to switch to the rockets.
But now the fortification can come back. He's got the mega, and that's thanks to Galena's passive, it's going to shave off cooldown on the ability for the totem, which means that he can stick around a little bit longer if he wants to, because he hasn't got to worry as much about having the stack available.
Yeah.
Now he can retreat once more. And he's able to kind of put up this wall. I guess he's not going to be able to fortify for too long if we start to see, the end of the game. That 1 minute warning. Totems aren't going to help you if Tox has the lead.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you have to make something happen. But
yeah, that's of course the problem with Galena. She's very strong if you have control, if you have a frag lead, but when you have to chase, totems are not an offensive ability at all, and she has got a very limited movement pulse in sense, so not much to work with. xron landing a good rail right there. Toxic actually railable, I feel like. He's gonna push in. Can he land the shot? Nope, he makes some very strange weapon switches at the very last moment.
Some bonus damage there coming from Pika.
Yeah.
The fight almost went actually in Tox's favor, because I truly think xron wasn't ready for the fight there.
Yeah.
Again, it was one of those common cases where he didn't have the right weapon out because Tox was point blank. I'm pretty sure he was convinced he had jumped off that bridge at the time, but
yeah. I have to commend xron for not shooting the Peeker down right away though, because he was looking for at least a sliver of Tox to hit the man himself. Was unable to, but still a very composed play, and he will find the Swede once again. 5-5. This is a very interesting matchup.
He can retreat towards the teleport once more, and here comes that lovely juice, the health, the stuff that's been keeping him going this entire map. And
I would love to see how much xron has healed himself over the course of this map on the final scoreboard in around 2 minutes. Aggressive rocket jump, and Toxic solo. Can he land the shot? No, he actually has to back away. Is he gonna come right back for it? He will. Toxic is still there.
Now, this is, I guess, the other side of Tox that we had talked about, where he overstays his welcome a bit too much. Definitely one of those examples. But if he went towards the teleport, he ran a risk of teleporting into a totem and dying. So, but actually, look at the bottom of the screen. Thankfully, now totems are starting to disappear.
Yeah.
But a lot of damage has been done because of them. So we'll see whether it was too little, too late. There's only one frag separating these players so far. Tox getting some fantastic defensive rockets, but a really good one from xron, and he finishes the job, making the lead now 2 in his favor. Catches a pretty good spawn too. Got some nice information here. That wasn't a so good rocket shot, but whatever, who cares?
You can always pretend it was a fakey rocket jump in the end. There we go.
Nice.
That's a good rail, though. That's gonna hurt Toxic quite a bit. He will manage to pick himself up the heavy, but he needs to start making these frags happen right now. He can't be waiting any longer. 1 minute left to go. He needs to do something, and quickly too. Oh, actually a decent amount of damage with the Peeker.
Importantly, the Peeker was used to force Ron away from the Mega.
Yeah.
And I think that was one of the objectives. It was not necessarily to establish damage, but actually Tox, interesting choice. Now he's got this frag, he's actually going to be able to both get run if he has the range actually, because he's pretty low down. Ooh. The Mega being an option meant that if he didn't fully dedicate to jumping down the jump pad, he actually could have taken this Mega. But wait a minute, the rail, almost like a trampoline, pushed away. Watch out for the totem. Woo.
Yeah, he is going to ignore the totem. At this point, that's obviously the right decision. With just 30 seconds on the clock, you can't be wasting any time going after things that are non-essential. He manages to bridge the grab so quickly, switching to the LG. xron really low, but so is Tox. He's gonna go for the Peeker. Can he find any damage? No, he won't. And that will be xron taking advantage of that moment of confusion to end it all.
That was a all or nothing decision. And you know what, the thing is, I definitely respect it.
Yeah.
He fundamentally thought that if we just get that direct with Pika, he didn't get the frag, but it just took too long.
Yeah.
You know, it took way too long, and he just needed an extra few seconds to maybe make a comeback. But yeah, that came down to the final fight where he dedicated to the Pika, tried to get maybe some direct or some pepper damage. That was either it works or it doesn't, and that definitely didn't work.
Experience or HP healed 2,500 health that xron regained from using his totem, or part of that of course is overstack as well. But look at that, that's more than half of the damage that Toxic managed to do over the course of the entire map. That's so huge, and in the end our prediction came into fruition because I really think it's the totems that saved xron.
Well, we always talk about the points and how they're starting to matter a great deal at this stage, and Tox, although he was a player that people were worried about, I think he's starting to look a lot better. You know, fundamentally, this is still going to be a 2-1 victory to Tox. So, you know, well played to Toxic for just having an absolutely phenomenal series, and one of the best series he's had. You know, because not only the fact that, it wasn't a 3-0, but xron is more than a formidable opponent, and Tox had tons of moments of greatness. But at the same time, xron just